Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Game. Today's guest is the one and only Kelley O'Hara. I am so grateful to Kelley for agreeing to do this interview and for being so open and honest about what she's going through right now. We talk a lot about her current injury and her retirement, which she announced a few weeks ago and will be at the conclusion of her season with Gotham this year. I'm really happy that we get to share interviews like this. I think it's really important for fans and players alike to hear what Kelley has to say. Okay, everybody, brace yourselves. This is a really great interview, but it's also really emotional. Here is my really good friend, Kelley O'Hara. I am so happy to have one of my good friends, Kelley O'Hara, here with me today on Friendlies. Kelley is a two-time World Cup champion and an Olympic gold medalist. She's won the NWSL both with the Washington Spirit and with Gotham FC. Kelley recently announced that she will retire from soccer at the end of her season with Gotham this year after playing 15 years professionally. Kelley is known to her teammates as a true competitor, one who upholds the highest standards for both herself and everyone around her. She hates losing, she loves cortados, and she's one of the most incredible teammates I've ever had, thanks to her contagious and genuine will to win. Miss Kelley, welcome to the show.
Miss Samuel, thank you for having me. Thank you for the intro. You nailed it.
Thank you so much. I put a lot of work into it. How are you doing?
You put a lot of work into it. I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Today it's beautiful. It's sunny in Jersey today, so it's a good day.
Good. I'm so glad to hear it. It's sunny here too, so we're not really very far apart in spirit.
No, we aren't.
Okay, well, I want to get right into it. So, Kelley, you recently announced that this will be your last year as a professional soccer player. How did it feel for you to make that announcement?
Honestly, it felt good to make that announcement, to make the announcement. I had been thinking about it for a while. I knew this was going to be my last year for a bit. And so for me, it was like the public announcement of it was kind of like a weight off my shoulders. I just wanted it to be out there because I knew that this was my last year and I didn't want to keep tiptoeing around the subject or people wondering or asking and not really knowing what to say. And I feel like I'm very forthcoming and don't really, I always want to be as transparent as I possibly can. So for me, it was kind of like I was excited to announce it because I'm very at peace with it. And yeah, I needed it to be out there and done with. It was like I need to get it done.
Yeah, I can relate to that a little bit. I feel like when there was a period of time between when I knew I was going to retire and when I announced it, and whenever I'd have to have that conversation, like, well, when are you going to be back on the field? I'd be like, ah.
I'm
So when
not.
I'm not. So when I finally made it public and could openly talk about the whole thing and how hard it had been, I felt such a sense of relief. What was the response like for you? Like, how did anybody who didn't already know, so maybe more like fans or friends further outside your close circle, what was that response like? Did anything surprise you about that?
No, it was very sweet and kind, and I felt very loved and supported, and just I felt a lot of gratitude for the response that it got, and yeah, I think it was kind of again, for me, this has been the biggest part of my life for so long, and I think it was kind of like getting to a place of having it out there and just being able to talk openly about it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said,
Yeah.
people would ask questions and you didn't know what to say. And so for me, I was just like, yeah, I want to get that out there. And yeah, people were so kind, so sweet, very thoughtful messages sent. And, it meant a lot to see that kind of response.
Yeah. You said in your retirement announcement that it was the physical piece that's been the deciding factor for you since your heart, you still love playing so much. Can you tell us a little bit about this, like where you're at with your body and why you're feeling like this is the right step for you?
I feel like people start asking you if you're going to retire when you're 30. You reach 30 and people are like, so when you hanging it up? And I think that in having that start to happen, I kind of had to think about it myself. And it wasn't something I'd really considered because when I feel like when you're going through it, you think you'll play forever, but then the reality is you will not. And so for me, I was like, what will be the deciding factor around being done? And I knew what the conditions were for me to play. And that's always been if I love it and still love it. And if I physically can, like I always wanted to be able to play how I've always played. And we've talked about this. Like I came to the realization quickly that like I'm gonna love this forever. And I feel like as my career has gone on, I've loved it more and more. But and even when I came to that conclusion, I was like, oh, my body will last forever too, you know? And I think that it's kind of like karma that it didn't and doesn't, because I think that, as athletes, we're like, oh yeah, we just are these physical people that think we can do this forever. And then sometimes you get let down or you have to realize that it's not in the cards to physically be able to do this the way that you want to for the rest of your life. So yeah, physically. So wow, I'm like really going off. I'm not
No,
locked in
you're
for this
not at
interview.
all. It's great.
Okay, so physically where I'm at, my knee has been bad for like 2 years plus, who knows how long. But really like identified like, oh, this is something that is going to be probably what makes you have to stop playing soccer. And I had that conversation with the doctor last December. So like going into 2023. And the doctor who I, really trusted and I've worked with throughout my career, he was like, it doesn't look good in there, but and you can, I think that you can play, but it's also retirement is an option. Like you've done everything you can and you've achieved everything you possibly could imagine. So give retirement a thought. And for me, I wasn't ready at that point at all. And I was floored by that kind of assessment by him. And so, I went through last year and that was getting back on the field after rehabbing my knee. And then I felt like I could play another year and I had another year on my contract with Gotham. And I wanted to keep playing. But the reality is it's like started the season strong and right now not in a great place, but we're trying to figure it out, hoping that I can get back on the field.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. I'm gonna like dive a little deeper into some of what you just said, if you're comfortable with that. When the doctor
Yeah.
said it doesn't look good in there, is there anything that you can share with us about what that means or what that feels like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just have a significant amount of cartilage damage in my knee. And the reality is, listen, kids, take care of your cushies. That's what I got to tell the people out there. Like, cartilage is the one thing that you really can't heal or like regrow. I mean, there are some surgeries that if you're younger, they try to do and can sometimes be successful. But the reality is, cartilage is the one thing that doctors haven't really cracked the code on. And you can't really replace it. So once it's gone, it's kind of gone. So that is what he was saying. And for me, I have cartilage damage on both sides of the joint. So tibia and femur. So it's just kind of like rubbing against each other. So yeah, and I had no idea. Like my knee had been kind of bothering me for a bit. I was like, oh, it's like gets a little achy, sore, whatever. And then when he was like, yeah, it's not looking good in there, I was really surprised by that diagnosis, I would say.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm very familiar with the conversation that you had with the doctor where retirement was
Yeah.
suggested. I had that conversation several
Yeah.
times throughout the last couple of years that I was like trying to play.
I still remember sitting in Austin with you at what is that place called? Two Hands Coffee. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
we were sitting at the counter, and this was when, things weren't going well with your knee, and you were trying to rehab, you were trying to come back. I think you had had a surgery, and you looked at me and were like, I might never play soccer again. And I like, you're like, this might be what makes, like, I might have to retire. And I was so shocked by that. And I just remember feeling terrible for you, and like the enormity of that statement, and the fact that there was really not, you were trying everything you possibly could, but you had gotten to this place of thinking like this might never happen again.
Yeah, my gosh, there's so many places we could go with this conversation, because I think that moment that you're referring to, like, those were some of the hardest moments, was telling other people the truth that was starting to dawn on me, that not only had my knee been feeling this way for a long time, but was told from several doctors to start thinking about my future as a healthy adult. And and this is where I wanted to take this next was,
yeah,
it was so hard for you and for my other soccer friends and for my family and friends to accept that there was no answer, and that I had to start thinking, well, how am I going to feel when I'm 35, 40, 45? Do I need to get a knee replacement now? And I was nearing that stage where I had such worn down cartilage where a knee replacement was possibly on the table at 30. And so when all these doctors that I talk to, and I know this is part of your conversation, when they start saying, you have a whole life to live after this, how does that feel to have to weigh your passion and love for the game that you're playing right now with the whole rest of your life, and this idea that you might not be able to be as active as you want?
Well, what's interesting, it's like, I feel like when you're younger, you hear people talk about athletes that give everything to their career, including the physical side of their body, and they're like, oh, you want to be able to walk when you're 40, for baseball play, like, you want to be able to, like, pick up your kids, like anybody who's upper body or like hand sports. And when you're younger, you're like, well, obviously I'll be able to do that. But now, like, we both are sitting here facing this reality of, like, I want to be able to walk to the grocery store and back and not be in excruciating pain, and I'm probably going to get emotional, but, like, yeah, like, it's crazy that we both have found ourselves in this spot, and it's really sad, but I'm, like, hopeful. Like you said, like, we're going to do, what's it called? Aqua bikes, or like swim bikes. Yeah. It's just like, it's such a, bummer. Like, I don't even know how to put it, but that I am like, I'm absolutely weighing quality of life post soccer in that was a big reason why I was like, this is it. Like, if I can get it through this year, that would be awesome. And at this point, like, I've obviously hit a road bump, and I'm hoping to make it back. But the reality is, like, I want to be able to live life and experience life and do all the things that, like, I looked forward to doing post playing. Because for me, like, living an active lifestyle is so important. And, like, I'm an activities girl. Like, I want to be able to, like, go for a jog, like, play some tennis, like, do those things, go for a hike, like, do those things, and actually be able to do them and not be in pain every day. And I'm hoping that's possible, but it's really sad and scary, honestly.
I know it is really sad. And I'm, like, going to get emotional now too, thinking about this for you. I think, as somebody who's kind of on the other side of it and is dealing with knee pain still a lot, I want to protect all of you guys, all my friends who have any injury.
I know.
Want to, like, wrap you up in bubble tape and, like, make sure that you don't get into the same situation. But I'm also really curious if you blame anybody or would have changed anything. I think an exercise that I had to go through was like, well, would I have modified my load so much that I didn't make the World Cup team in 2019? And every time I go back to that, I go, no. So I look back, and I wouldn't give that up for anything, but I do harbor some resentment against like almost the system that put me in a
Mm.
position to do permanent damage to my body. And I wonder if that's a feeling you can relate to at all. Do you have any distrust for the medical people who were taking care of us?
No, but I don't. I think that everybody is trying to do the best they can. I think that, and again, each case is unique and different. I, like you said, like, would you go back and do anything differently? I'm like, should I have retired last year? You know, like, would I be in this situation right now if I had? I think that, and like you said, like 2019, should I have modified my load to not make the World Cup team? And you're like, no. Um, it's a tough one to say, and I feel like I don't have any regrets, and the reality is, it's just like an unfortunate circumstance and thing that happened. And at the end of the day, I'm a hopeful person, and I will say, like, chronic pain is soul crushing, like, so I'm trying to stay hopeful for, like, the quality of life I want post playing. um but that'll be a process, that remains to be seen if it's possible. And at the end of the day, if we have to get partial knee replacement at 36, that's what we do. Like, I'm just choosing to stay hopeful. And again, it's like day in and day out, it's like, to me, I try to keep this mentality of, like, control what you can control. And, like, right now, I'm obsessive about swimming because it's the only thing I can do that is pain free and is also a workout. So, like, I'm, like, addicted to it. Like, I'm, like, fiending for lap pools in Jersey City, like, trying, like, I feel like I'm like an addict, like, being like, where can I get my next swim in? So yeah, I mean, do I think there was some mismanagement through the years? 100%. I know, like, when I hurt my knee and probably did the most damage, and, like, I didn't take any time off because people were like, oh, you just have a swollen knee, like, it's fine, and so, but again, can't go back. For me, it's like, I can only move forward. And that's why I think, as I've gotten later in my career, I'm, like, so meticulous about getting to the bottom of things and being like, I'm not stepping back on the field if I'm still feeling,
Yeah.
let's take the knee out of it, because that's just, like, painful time. Anyway, you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I'm seesawing about if I should even ask this question, because I'm definitely going to cry
God.
when I hear your answer, but I think this is going to be the
no.
hardest one.
Is it going to make me cry?
I want to know what you'll miss the most about playing.
I think that I'm about to start my period, so that's why this is an emotional interview. Literally, like, could not be a worse day to do this.
Why don't we skip it?
No, I'll talk about it. I mean, the thing I'm going to miss the most is the camaraderie, is the people, is my teammates, is this, like, feeling of a group of people coming together for a common goal, putting aside, differences or egos or whatever, and, like, achieving something together. And I'm just gonna miss, like, the built-in family and friendship that comes with being on a team. All of the things that came before: college, club, youth soccer, like, high school soccer. Like, I got to go and just shoot the shit with my friends every single day, and, like, play a sport for a job. Like, what? That is the dream. Like, I got to live my dream, and I I will miss the people the most, for sure.
I know. It struck me, like, I miss the littlest, stupidest things. Like, I miss like playing a juggling game before practice. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I miss doing the sprints, and I miss the heat, and I miss running for 90 minutes.
But don't you? But
I do,
don't you?
of course I do. But what
Right?
like actually makes me sad is the little pieces of your friendship that they don't exist for me anymore. The juggling with somebody
Mm,
before practice, like you have to replace that with like playing a game with your friend, and it's just so rare. And we used to have it every day, and you saw this at my retirement party. I miss eating goldfish with Rose in late at night
I
in a hotel
know.
room. And
I know.
it's like why
I
is that the
know.
thing? And I just think that being a part of a team and traveling together and being so close and knowing that you can say anything in front of these people is like so freeing, and you know that they love you for you and how crazy you were at practice, and it's like such a special thing that we got to experience. And there are these just little seemingly meaningless pieces of it that I miss the most.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. The people for sure. And like the little moments and honestly, like the monotony of it sometimes. Like the things that people would complain about, I'd be like, guys, we're living the good old days right now. Like, don't, like, it's not, enjoy the things that go wrong in the moment, and I don't know, embrace them, because you'll look back and be like, oh, I wish I could be back in that moment for sure. And then on top of that, like, I love the game of soccer. Like, I love playing soccer. And I think what makes me the most sad is that physically I don't think I'll ever play soccer for fun again. And
I
that's
know.
really, really sad for me. But
I
maybe, I
agree.
don't know. Again, I'm gonna stay hopeful.
Yeah, you should stay hopeful. Okay, well, in on the page of staying hopeful, I want to talk to you about who you are as a teammate. This is something I wish,
Okay.
and I think people tried to tell me this, but I couldn't really like hear it at the time. Who you are as a teammate, all those qualities like are you, and you'll keep being all those things to your partner and your family and your friends and your coworkers in the future. So I want to talk about who you are and what you think has made you such a great teammate over the years, and how those qualities are going to translate into the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm competitive. You already touched on that. Um, I think that will hopefully serve me well throughout life. I'm really good at playing like devil's advocate. So like hearing both sides, I feel like, and trying to find like a middle ground. I'm also a challenger. I found out there's a thing that is your personality type, and it's like 11 different, it's like one, two, three, four, you can be a number, and I'm
Is it
8, I
like
think, which
is
is
it like the
challenger.
Enneagram?
Yeah, but I don't think it's called that.
Okay. Okay,
But
so
I
you're a
yeah,
challenger.
so
That sounds right.
yeah, so like if I'll listen, if a coach says do this, I'll do it, but like if I disagree, I will voice, and then to try to understand. And at the end of the day, it's like we might not, you might still want me to do this. I might not agree, but at least we got that, sorted. And I'm down to move forward because that's in the best interest of the team. I feel like I can relate to a lot of different people. Like, I feel like I was
Mm.
always friends with most people on my teams. And I think that the biggest thing is that I played every role possible throughout my career in terms of starter, bench warmer, or no, game changer. Um, you know, somebody who's going to sub on, somebody who didn't make the roster, like not getting called into camps. Like I've literally played every role. So I think that allowed me to be empathetic to
Yeah.
everyone, because everybody's going through something different on every team, and understanding emotionally, mentally what that does to somebody, and being able to relate to them.
You strike me like so you know yourself. You've always struck me that way. Like I think you know yourself and you're confident in who you are, And I think that allows you to be really thoughtful and intentional about your decisions and who you surround yourself with and things you do to relax, things you do to step away from soccer. And so I feel like when I think about you having to go through this journey and retire and deal with this injury, I have no fears that you won't be able to like handle it or that you'll it's so hard, but I feel like you're so prepared to deal with it because you know yourself and your thoughtfulness and like intentionality is going to set you up to move on and be successful in whatever you do and take all of these incredible qualities that made you such a great player into just being Kelley and doing whatever it is else that you want to do, whether that's just riding your bike across America or being CEO or coaching the national team to win another World Cup. Like you could do anything because you're still the same person.
That's very kind of you. Thanks, Sam. I hope so, but I also recognize that this transition, as much as I'm at peace with like this is it, I'm done playing soccer, I'm no longer a professional athlete, like, and I'm ready for the next stage. I know that I have no idea what I'm about to go through, and I am hopeful. I guess it's like the theme of this interview is that I'm hopeful that I can handle it well, but I also recognize that it might be an absolute disaster. I might be a disaster. Like who knows? I could go off the deep end. I mean, hopefully not, but it's just you never know. So I'm again, I'm hopeful, but I'm not. I know that this next stage of life is nothing that I've experienced before.
Yeah, I hear that. I definitely went off the deep end a little bit, so I'm here for you, and I will lend you any of my experiences or what not to do. But again, I think that you're so prepared. I want to look back over your career at some highlights. This is going to be a lot more fun, this part of the interview. So you grew up in Peachtree City, Georgia, and you went to Stanford where you had kind of a dramatic end to your college career.
I got kicked out of my championship, undefeated senior season championship game, 2 yellow cards, have to spend the last 15 minutes of my college career in the locker room because I got a red card. But that's like also, did we not talk about this? I don't know if we talked about this. So like that's how I ended my college career, in the locker room with a red card on an undefeated season with Stanford national championship game. Amazing college career. Like obviously I would have loved to win a championship, but it is what it is. National team. I had the best career I could have asked for with USWNT national team. The last touch of my career wearing that jersey is kicking the ball to hit the post in the World Cup to drop us out of the World Cup. So it's like, I was like, this is the only, and again, like I probably would have gone and played other, more minutes in that jersey if I wouldn't have gotten injured last fall. But like, that was it. Like, that was the last thing I will have done in that jersey. And it's just poetic, I'm like, that's how it's supposed to be. That is how my careers go. My chapters go.
Okay. Well,
anyway,
I literally hate that so much. So let's just go all the way back to the beginning. So then after you graduated from Stanford, you were drafted and you played in the WPS, which is the precursor league to the NWSL, and you got your first national team call-up in 2009. Do you remember where you were when you heard the news, and who did you call to tell first?
I was stoked. So I remember where I was. I was going into math 52, 51. It was a hard math. And
a math class at Stanford?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember which one.
And you got an email.
I got an email from Cheryl Bailey that said you're getting called into camp, and I was like over the moon. I could not believe it. I was so excited, and I don't remember. I probably called my parents, but had to go into class, obviously, which didn't help me at all because I did terribly in that class. But yeah, that's where I was. I remember like where I was sitting on campus, right outside of the classroom.
That's a really cool story. I love that. I think I got a text. I got a text from Tim Ryder, and I was like, Or I
Tim.
like screened his call or something because I was like, I don't know this number. And he texted me, "This is Tim Ryder from the national team. Can you call me back?" And I was like, "What?" And
You were like,
then
yes, sir.
yeah, I'll call you back. And I remember I was in my apartment at UCLA, and then he asked me to just come to training at the Home Depot Center like the next day. So I like had to call Abby Dahlkemper and be like, "Can I borrow your car and drive myself to the Home Depot Center tomorrow?" Because I like didn't have a car at UCLA.
They didn't send you a car?
I don't think I like knew to ask for that. So I just was like,
Of
"Yeah, I'll be
course
there."
not.
It was
Oh my God. What year was that? What camp was that?
it was like 2013 in a January camp, I think.
And then and then you made the Algarve roster,
Yeah, well,
right?
I think I did, yeah, with Tom Sermani.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got my first cap.
Yeah. And we lost
And
games.
yeah. We lost my first three caps. You know that, right?
Yes.
It's a
It's like
women's
one of
national
my
team
favorite
record.
fun facts about you.
It's a women's national team record. Erin Heifetz to this day. 0-3 for my first three caps. Okay, we have to get back on track here, Kelley.
Okay.
Back on Kelley. 2011, you made the Women's World Cup roster, and Becky Sauerbrunn told us a really funny story on Good Vibes about when you first got into the tournament in the game and you didn't feel like you played that well. So we have the clip for you. Listen here.
And so we're both on the bench for the first few games, and then Kelley gets to play. And she didn't think she was going to see a minute of the World Cup. And so she goes in, and it's like it's not her best game. You know, she's playing an attacking position. She has some rough touches. I'm so excited for her because she just played in a World Cup. And so whistle blows, we actually lost the match. It was a group stage game. And I run up to her and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Kelley, like you just like lived your dream. You got to play at a World Cup." And like in the most self-deprecating, funny way, she was like, "And I failed at it." And that was the moment I was like, I think we're going to be great friends.
Does that bring back any memories?
Yeah. I mean, I have vivid memories of that stadium, the game. Actually, I feel like I guess a couple of vivid memories of the game. I have vivid memories of Dawn standing up, walking down the bench. You know, that's, you know, you're like, oh, Dawn's up. She's going to go tell somebody to warm up. Someone's going in. She's
So
picking somebody.
this is Dawn Scott, the sports performance coach for the national team, who would tell a sub they're about to sub in.
Yes. So, and prior to the World Cup, first of all, I made the World Cup because as a replacement player for Lindsay Tarpley, who got injured right before. So like I had no business going to the World Cup. Didn't make the initial roster, made the final roster as like a default. And pre-World Cup, he was like, "You will be going to this World Cup as a practice player. We need you as a cheerleader." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'm your girl. Whatever you need." And so you know, during the games, I'm like, I'm chilling. I'm cheering. Like I'm putting all the good vibes and energy out there. Dawn stands up. I still remember, walks down the bench, stops in front of me,
I'm terrified.
and I'm like, yes.
I'm a cheerleader.
Like, surely you need to keep moving one way or the other. Like this is not your destination. She's like, "Go warm up. You're gonna go in." And I was like, I think you've mistaken me for somebody else. And so I obviously did. And as I'm warming up, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. Like I'm so nervous." And I remember standing, waiting to check in. And I was like, you know, when you start, like the walls start, you know, the light starts to close in. I was like, I physically think I'm gonna pass out because I'm so nervous to go into this game. And I was like, just don't pass out right now because all the cameras are on. Like I know that like when someone's subbing in, like the cameras are looking at the sideline of the, you know, the center line. And I was like, what would happen if I just collapsed right here? Like I'm about to go into a game on camera. Thankfully I didn't pass out. Honestly, it probably would have been better if I did because I played so bad. We lost. And I only played for like 15 minutes. So it couldn't, like, I was like, there wasn't a lot of time to do as bad as I did, but I somehow like maximized it.
I've been there.
And I don't remember saying that to Becky, but I remember I got pulled for doping after the game and I'm sitting in doping control. Lori Lindsay is next to me. She's like, you know, like pats me on the leg or something. I was like, "Dude, congrats. Like first World Cup game." And I looked at her and I said, "That was the biggest epic fail of my life." Dead face. zero, like just, and I'm pretty sure she cracked up laughing, and I was like, it's not funny. Like my career is over, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah. So I do remember that.
But Kel, your career was just beginning. The next
Well,
year,
thank God. Thank
I
God.
know. If we got judged based off our first national team performances, my career would have been over before it even started as well. But luckily
Yeah,
we
no,
can
that's
grow
fair.
it.
That's
Luckily
fair.
we can grow into it. So the next year you won the London Olympics. You played every single minute of the U.S. women's national team's run to the gold medal, including the crazy and memorable 4-3 semifinal against Canada. And then you started the final against Japan in front of 80,000 people at Wembley. What are your lasting memories of that tournament and winning the gold medal?
Oh, what a turnaround, hey. I remember Jill Ellis, I think she was like assistant or something at the time, came up to me post World Cup and was like, Pia was done with you. And I, after my Sweden performance, my 15 minutes, I was like, that's it, you're like done with me. And somehow, I don't know if it was Jill or somebody, like she just like, Pia was like, all right, we'll give her another chance. And in that time between end of World Cup leading into Olympics or like into 2012, that fall period, Pia was like, you're not going to make the Olympics as a forward or a winger. You're going to play, if you're going to make the Olympics, you're going to be an outside back. And so I was like, yes, ma'am, whatever I have to do, you know? And so that was the beginning of playing outside back, playing defense, and somehow pulled it together enough to play every minute of every game at the Olympics and win a gold medal. And it was just like a dream come true because for me, I knew soccer, I knew football, but like as a kid, I didn't really care about that. And I don't think it was very visible. And like the thing that was most visible to me was every 4 years, the Olympics, and it was like swimming and
Yep.
gymnastics and track and field. And the Olympics was the thing as an athlete, like a professional athlete, like that was the epitome of the highest high that you could have. And so to have a gold medal placed around my neck, I was like, that was a childhood dream, hands down.
Oh, that is so amazing. Well,
It was cool.
after the Olympics, I know you went through another injury, but we're gonna skip ahead to the good stuff again. I feel like we've tortured you enough with the injuries.
Jesus Christ.
I know it was a tough one, but I'm gonna just skip right ahead.
It was.
Then you went on to
Yeah.
win the World Cup in 2015, subbing into the semifinal in the 75th minute against Germany and scoring a goal in the 84th minute to seal the game. And Kelley, I will never forget your face after you scored that goal. I feel like it is like burned into like the happy place in my brain. How much does that moment, subbing on and scoring, mean to you still to this day?
It's so cool to think back on. I'm like, dang, again, those were the good old days, man. Like that was, and it's funny in the moment, like World Cup 2015 was one of the hardest points of my career
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't play until the quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see the field. Didn't get a sniff, you know. And I was like, oh my god, well, 2011 obviously didn't go well, so like maybe they're just not letting me touch the field.
I'm just an Olympics girl, not a World Cup girl.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like a huge learning experience for me and just like handling adversity
Mm-hmm.
and being like, control what you can control, get the job done. If I'm not going to see the field during a game, like the only thing I'm doing is practicing, like I'm going to practice like a World Cup final every single time. And I did. And that's like what got me to start during the quarters because Pino and Cheney were both on yellow cards. And yeah, and I think that practice preparation led me to be like super confident in when I stepped on that field. And so like that was my first goal with the national team. Like I had scored and I scored a goal in the semifinals of World Cup. I was like, LOL, this is hilarious.
And it was like a karate kick goal. Like it was like so sick
What?
and you were so happy and you helped the team seal the win. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, that was fun for sure.
Well, even more fun for me was 2019 when we won the World Cup
I know.
together. And
Yes.
when I think back on that team, like I genuinely just feel like that team really was so close and like was actually 22 best friends. Do you feel the same?
Yes, I do. I like Yeah, again, I think back on the summer of 2019, and it was like heat
Yeah.
wave in France. We were just like out, we were fucking good, like we were just
Yeah.
so dialed in as a team and as individuals. Uh, it was just like we were living our best
It was like
lives. Like, I don't know how else
inevitable.
to put
I
it.
literally,
Yeah,
people ask me
exactly.
about it. I'm like, it was like inevitable that we were going to win. Like, I've never felt that way. I had so little like doubt in our team. And then we
Yeah.
freaking won. It was so amazing. We celebrated so beautifully, Kelley. Do you remember when I was spitting my beer in your face?
Wait, at the after party?
Wasn't I at the after party going like this with my beer?
Honestly, I was on another level, so I do not remember.
Well, clearly I was too. I thought
I just
I
I
was
just
counting on
have
you to remind me what happened.
I don't remember that. I just remember you ended up dancing with somebody you thought was Pat, but it wasn't Pat. And also
Oh
I have
my
a
god.
picture. I'm pretty sure you, Pat, Crystal, Cameron, and me
Drove
were the
back
last
together. We were the
five.
last
Yeah,
ones
we were
at the
the last
party.
five at this party, just like still raging. And they're like, you got to go home. And I have a picture of looking across the like taxi or whatever we were in,
I
you,
know.
Pat,
I
and
know the
Crystal. And
picture. Yep.
it's so,
And
sometimes
we're
I pull it out
so
just for a little like
sweaty.
giggle.
And we're
Yes.
so sweaty. And then when we got back to the hotel, I remember Ryan gave us hamburgers.
I didn't get any hamburgers.
I think I did.
Dang, lucky. I would have killed for a hamburger.
So you have all this international success, Kelley. And then finally in 2021, you have club success in the NWSL with the Washington Spirit. You assisted Trinity Rodman, and then you scored the game-winning goal to win the NWSL championship. And we have another clip for you because I just want to make you feel good about how much all your teammates love you.
Oh, okay.
Never in my life could I have told you my rookie year I would assist a goal to Kelley O'Hara, the woman I've looked up to for the longest time, to win. Like, it's just the craziest thing. Like, you couldn't have wrote that down. You could not on my bingo card, you know?
Oh, Trin.
I know. Talk to me about a little bit about how it felt to finally have this success in the NWSL with the Spirit in 2021.
I mean, it felt really freaking good because I chose to go to Spirit. I was like, I want to go to Spirit for personal reasons, right? Like, my lover lives there. Like, we have been doing years long distance. I'm over that life. Like, there's a place where I can live and work and play in the same city
And love.
and love. And I want to do that. And so, and that was like that was the dream for me to be able to do that. And I did, and I pushed for it. And then on top of that, I was like, Spirit is young and feisty and good. And I felt like I could add to that team. So to be able to go there, and then that year, I wish there was like, we should have had cameras because it was wild in terms of just the like ownership battle and coaching situation and all those things. So then for us, that was really come together as a team and block out the bullshit of everything else that's going on around us and get the job done. And we did. Oh, and then on top of that, like Sonnet came, which was incredible. We got Trin, which was so cool to be able to have her as a teammate her rookie year and then to win. And like to do it the way that we did was just, it was nice. Honestly, winning that NWSL championship like ranks up there with winning. I don't want to say like winning World Cup because obviously it's a different level, but
I
like
know what you mean.
I wanted it so bad. I wanted
know.
that so bad. And we got it. And it was that was fun.
I know exactly what you mean. My 2016 NWSL championship with Western New York, like it's like so high up on my list of accomplishments because it was just so unbelievable. And like it was the coolest thing ever. We were such underdogs. We had to like beat all these like incredibly talented teams to do it. And it was such a shock and surprise to us that it was just like, I just have the best memories about it. It was so much fun. So the NWSL championship means so much. And then you got to do it again
really
with
does.
Gotham. What, like,
I know.
you guys
And that was
almost,
the other thing.
I know. So you guys almost don't even make playoffs last year. And
Yeah.
then you barely come in sixth, and then you go and win the whole thing. Talk to us a little bit about what
Yeah.
that was like.
I mean, yeah, shout out to the team. And it was, well, again, that was the other thing. It was like, Spirit was basically like, we don't want you anymore. We're not re-signing you. And I was like, wow, okay. I expected to retire here. And so now I got to go elsewhere. And to go back to Gotham was such a full circle moment to be able to be like, I started my career in the NWSL here with Sky Blue. Like, I plan on ending my career here if I sign here. And then on top of that, to then in that first year win a championship, and the first one for the club was just like, you couldn't script it better. And then on top of it, it's like Krieger's retirement year. It was just, there was so many things that were so special about last year. And yeah, it was again really fun.
Really fun. Well, so this kind of brings us full circle. Here you are, you're in your last year with Gotham. What are your goals, and how are you thinking about these next couple months?
Well, my goal would be to get back on the field. If you're being honest, that is the number one priority right now. Trying to figure it out. It's been a process of a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, I've never won the Shield, so I would love to be able to end my career winning a Shield, winning a championship. Every year I go into the year being like, I want to win. That's the only reason I'm here. I assume that's why everyone else is here. So let's do it, you know?
Hey, you're telling me. I hear you on that. Well, I hope you get back on the field. I hope you do whatever's right for your body.
Thanks, buddy.
You know I'm rooting for
Thank
Gotham.
you.
Kelley, you are one of the most accomplished and influential players of our generation. You have been to so many tournaments. You've been playing at the highest level for 15 years, and you've affected countless of your teammates and fans along the way. When you think back of everything that you've done, what legacy and lasting impression do you hope to leave behind?
Ooh. I feel like people are always asking this, and I'm like, I want to leave the legacy of like, you'd pick me for your team every time, you know, like that teammates and coaches and fans, if they have a choice, would like pick me for your team because I'm a good teammate. I work hard. I win, you know, however way possible. And I'm a good time too. So, you know, I think that's like how I want to be remembered.
Well, that's how I will always think of you, as you continue to be my friend. I would definitely pick you for whatever team I was on. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you the rest of the season with Gotham in whatever role you're playing. I will be cheering you on this year and in the future when we do more sports together.
Woohoo! I can't wait. Thanks, Sammy.
Thanks, Kelley. Thank you all so much for listening. I just love Kelley so much. She has been honestly one of the best people for me to talk to during the last few years. I think that Kelley has done such a great job in her career of creating lasting relationships, and then also like intentionally aligning herself with people and companies that share her values. I just have so much respect for Kelley. She's such a great friend, and I really feel for what she's going through right now, but I know that she's set her life up to come out on the other side really well adjusted, happy, and able to move forward. So I just wish the best for her. I want everything to go smoothly. I want her knee to be great for the rest of her life, but I also want her to get to play and to go out on a high. So I'm sending Kelley so much love. Next week's guest is the one and only Jaden Shaw. Jaden was amazing to talk to. She is 19 years old. She is so down to earth, and she is so wise. She's already crushing it on the world stage, and I'm really, really excited for you all to hear from her next week. As always, you can send me an email and I could read it aloud on the show. Please include a picture of your dog. It is the surefire way to get me to look at your email and to read it out loud. The email is womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. While you're at it, please subscribe to our newsletter, which gets delivered to your inbox every Monday and is kind of the perfect recap of all things soccer. You can find the link to subscribe through the link tree in our social media bios. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and now Threads at womensgamemib. Finally, please subscribe to this podcast feed. It would make me very, very happy. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you soon.